All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the STEM Files on OMS TV. I'm your host, Tariq Muhammad, aka Magna Cardiac. This is the second edition of the STEM Files on OMS TV, or no, we are no longer on Blog Talk Radio. I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Jabril.
Peace and blessings, everyone. You know, it's Jabril Muhammad, Vice Chairman of Original Man Scientific here on OMS TV, aka Jabrilliant Engineer. Here, happy to be here, and I'm excited to get it started.
All right, great. So we actually have. I'm very excited about our guest tonight because he loves what we love, and we love to promote young Black people in science. So I want to introduce to OMS TV and to those who are watching. This is Michael Hopkins. Peace, fam. What's going on?
How y'all doing? My name is Michael Hopkins. You can see I'm here with Black Scientists Matter.
Hey,
that's what's up. That's what's up. Hey,
that's nice, right? All right, family. So we are now live. We want to get right into it. We want to thank you, Michael, for joining us tonight. I know it's in the middle of the week. It's a Tuesday night, so I know we get ready to wrap up the school semester when it comes to college and whoever is in school. I know they get ready to wrap things up. So this is kind of an end of the semester treat, so to speak. But we want to get into Black Scientists Matter. First, we want to get to know you more as a young student scientist, as somebody that wants to promote young Black scientists and Black sciences in general. So we just want you to, go ahead and give us a brief outline of yourself and what inspired you to do what you're doing now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm a senior at North Carolina Central University. I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'd say I've been interested in STEM for a little while now. I wasn't exactly sure which direction I wanted to go in, but I always knew science interested me, especially when I got to college. And I knew originally I thought I wanted to do medical research and try to cure cancer. And so I, jumped at the first opportunity to really get in the lab. And I was working in this research lab at UNC Chapel Hill. And I remember looking around one day and thinking, like, if this is something I want to continue in, I don't know where I should look for guidance because there's not a lot of people who look like me.
Right.
And I think that was really the spark that led to the idea of Black Scientists Matter and what it means to really be a Black scientist, especially a young one.
Cool. So with Black Scientists Matter, is it just you? Do you have a team of people? How does it work?
Yeah, it's just me.
Just you? Cool.
I don't do the actual graphic design portion. I hire other people for that. But as far as the social media, the brand, all that is just me. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, when you came up with Black Scientists Matter, was the Black Lives Matter an inspiration, or was that just completely coincidental?
Definitely. It was kind of like a spin-off of it, because I think the idea of what Black Lives Matter was trying to do was really something that I was also trying to do. Like in a time where it seems like Black lives don't matter to a lot of people, like how can we get the message across in a simple, a platform as possible? So I would say they really did stem from each other, and that was at a time where Black Lives Matter was really at its prominence. So
right. So
definitely an influence.
Mm-hmm. So how has the response been since you created Black Scientists Matter?
It's been really well, actually. I'd say it's been received pretty well. I don't know how much support other people typically get when they start new things, but I'd say we've been active since January of 2017. So a little bit over a year, and it's been a lot of success. Probably sold to close to 15 different states. Mm-hmm. Close to 200 shirts. So it's spreading and growing every single day.
Wonderful. Jabril, you got anything for him?
Yes, sir. All right, peace, bro. The shirt is fly. Got to get me one. We're gonna talk about that later. Yeah. And also, real quick, I want y'all to smash that like button and everything. So as we going through this and everything, we want to make sure that as many people as possible are listening in and watching, so that we can whatever that we're giving you of STEM, I guess being awesome in STEM, that you can get and share with your peers and everything. But just going into the name, Black Scientists Matter. So just elaborate on this, like, to you, what it is that a scientist is, defining scientist for us, and why is it that it matters to have Black scientists, and then Black scientists being seen and doing things at their finest?
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So a scientist is really anybody who's working in a STEM discipline, with the idea of creating and generating more knowledge about how we understand the world around us. So that can take place in many different capacities. You know, you have your typical biology and chemistry, but you also have like astrophysics, you know, you have archaeology, you have, you know, environmental science, engineering. So there's a lot of different avenues and directions that science can go in, beyond just the ones we typically know. And the reason it's important to be a Black scientist is just plain and simple, there aren't enough of us.
Right.
I know Black people represent approximately 13% of the population, but I think less than 3% of the STEM workforce. And so there's a huge discrepancy in just.
And this is the U.S., right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the U.S. population. So a huge discrepancy just in representation alone. And then you see it at every stage in the STEM pool. So at start of college, you have less Black STEM majors. You have less who end up graduating. You have less who apply and are accepted into graduate school. And then you have less who actually complete graduate school. And then you also have significantly less who do complete that go on to get faculty level positions and tenure track positions at institutions across the country. So at every single step in the education pipeline, you actually lose Black scientists. So it's hard enough to just get us in, but then we're not even completing and finishing and representing ourselves at the end at the same level that other typically majority, and so in science, you know, majority being Asian and white and typically male. And so I remember, you know, as I was saying, when I was at UNC and I couldn't find anybody who looked like me, it was like, wow, this is pretty depressing. But what I actually found is that there are more Black scientists than you think. But we're just so spread out that it really isolates you as an individual. And so the idea was to really create a sense of community with the shirts. So anytime you see somebody wearing a Black Scientist Matter shirt, it reaffirms like what we're doing is important as Black people in STEM disciplines.
Okay. So then when we talk about, you know, the main goals, the mission of Black Scientists Matter, we're talking about awareness. We're talking about just kind of raising that flag, if you will, saying we're here, we're present, you know, see the work that we're doing and see the value that we bring. I guess, how would you say you differentiate yourself in your brand with maybe the tenets or an organization like NSBE or like something like that? Like, so, because, you know, NSBE does a lot of, you know, programming, you know, there's events and everything. So that's something that you're looking to get into on the later end, but are we not relegating ourselves to this, but is it more in that merch, that awareness, that kind of like social, like kind of look at me, see what's going on, bring attention to it type vibe?
No, you're definitely right though. So awareness is one big piece, and the other end of that is also advocacy, and then hopefully encouraging other younger STEM majors or other younger people to become STEM majors, and then pursue graduate degrees and then give back to the community around them as well. So right now, just merchandise, you know, I'm still in college, a little busy.
Right.
I do eventually want to get into science outreach. I want to do maybe after school camps. I definitely want to look into doing scholarships for future STEM majors. But all that would come with more time, more planning, and more funding, of course. So I'd say the next evolution of Black Scientists Matter, when I get to grad school and have more time to dedicate to this, will really be more outreach in the community, and trying to impact the later generations as well as the merchandise.
Great. You know, you mentioned a couple moments ago that you lose Black scientists in each stage of the educational development. Can you kind of go more into that, into why why there's such a loss in each stage, and what can be done to prevent the loss?
Right. So I guess there's a ton of research that's gone into where exactly we're losing STEM people, specifically underrepresented minorities. And there's an ongoing debate as to which side you really agree with. From what I've gathered, I would say that a lot of it comes from a lack of inclusion, and a lack of belonging in these disciplines. So like when you get somewhere and you feel uncomfortable, and then you also find that it's difficult, because we all know science can be very difficult.
Right.
It's very isolating. And then you realize nobody really looks like you and you don't know anybody who's done it before. it can be very discouraging. So science in itself is already discouraging because of how difficult it can be. But then you throw in the feelings of isolation, helplessness, and it just compounds and compounds, and you end up with a very low retention rate.
Mm. So when you talk about the intimidation factor of science, what were some of the things that intimidated you, or did you ever get intimidated by? Because just because we love it now doesn't mean we always loved it.
Right.
So,
Say that.
Right.
I would say
So
that,
yeah. So what were some of the things that you went through in your first initial introduction to science?
So when I first got into a research lab, I wasn't greeted very warmly by the person that I worked with. I was working with a grad student at the time, and she just wasn't very friendly, and she definitely wasn't encouraging. And she would gossip about me to the people in the lab, and then I would find out later on, like, oh, this is how she really felt. That's crazy. But I think what really interested me was the science, not necessarily the people. And so I focused on what I liked and tried to ignore what I didn't. Thinking that, community will come at a different place if it's not here. And what I actually found is that community in science is not guaranteed, especially in a lot of places. Like the people you're going to be around are not friendly, they're not welcoming, and they really don't want to see you succeed. And then on top of that, you're going to have the people who assume just because you have, locks in your hair or you wear headphones and listen to loud music that you know less than them. And that won't go away. But I really did try to stick to, building that community that I couldn't find with Black Scientists Matter, and then focusing on things that I do enjoy, which is the science. And so science is going to be hard, but I think it's really interesting in that you can really create things that have never been created before and look at things that have never been seen. And it's cool,
Yeah, most definitely. And Jabril?
So, you talk a lot about the STEM community, and all these things are important. The advocacy, the concepts of merchandising, the community outreach. So one of the core things that OMS is gearing ourselves toward is we want to help to cultivate and really build the physical infrastructure of the STEM community as it pertains to our people and other underrepresented groups. So we're talking about really bringing the gift of research and development, things like manufacturing, mentorship, apprenticeships to the inner city. So from what you've seen, what you've interacted in, what are some of the core, I guess, either aspirations or things that people who have ideas kind of want to see or need in a physical infrastructure to really cultivate and build that STEM community to where it needs to be?
So what do people need infrastructurally in order to be successful in STEM? Is that what you're asking?
Right, particularly our people, because we get the advocacy, like we're pushing, but I don't have the access, I don't have the resources. How can we really create that for ourselves and really be able to, because people have ideas, you know what I'm saying? Right. But because, like you said, I don't see someone that looks like me, or I'm not getting the affirmation, or I just don't have access to space. You know what I'm saying? What are some of those physical things? How can we make a place, an area? How can we cultivate that physically in order to cater to those things?
I think it comes back to eventually, we have to be the change that we want to see. I think it's a lot easier coming from a minority perspective to understand and to appreciate a minority perspective. And until we really, like, when I say we, I mean like people like you and I, get into the positions where we can give back, we become those deans of diversity, the heads of admissions, and we can really work to directly implement the change we want to see. And that's coming from somebody, I can go to an inner city and say, here's where I was, I was once in your shoes and here's where I am now. And you can do the same thing. I think when we really get to that point where it's coming from people like us and giving back to people like us, that's when we'll really see the change that we want to see. But just, waiting on somebody else to implement the change that you want is just not very, even if it does happen, it probably won't look the way you want it to look. I'll say that.
Right.
So go ahead.
That's a good point. Now, kind of switching gears a little bit. So when we talk about science, people we like to think about, the engineering, biology, chemistry, mathematics and stuff. But one thing we don't really think about, particularly as Black people, is business.
Mm-hmm.
And business is a science. Also, I was told growing up, business is warfare. So in the sense that to guard and to build your business, you have to go to war with the weaknesses within yourself as well as your competition. With you being one who's in the business of apparel, things of that nature, can you talk to how you grew that from the design aspects to like the social media aspect to really building that brand to be able to be as successful as you have been? Obviously, you'll be more successful, but can you really kind of paint that picture for us in that business realm?
So starting off was difficult, as is anything. I didn't know too much. You'd think, apparel is probably one of the easiest businesses you can start, but that doesn't make it any easier on the individual who's actually doing it. I remember the first time I ordered shirts with my design on them, I ordered 100 shirts and they were all wrong. And I had angry customers waiting on their orders for like 3 weeks and people yelling at me. It was bad. But it came with the growing pains. And then just trying to fulfill the orders and like send out shirts while trying to balance classes and all my other extracurricular stuff. It got a little hectic. And I'd forget people's orders and they'd email me like, I've been waiting for my shirt for 2 weeks. Where is it? But I would say I just kind of kept my eyes on the end goal of what I hope to accomplish and didn't let the negatives distract me. And I also allowed myself the opportunities to make failure. A lot of times we're really just hard on ourselves, but we have to understand like nobody was an expert overnight. Like, Facebook wasn't just Facebook because Mark Zuckerberg decided he wanted a huge social media platform. Like, things take time and they have to grow and develop, and allowing myself and my brand the opportunity to grow and develop as well.
Nice.
Yeah, you hit the nail hard on that one in terms of being hard on yourself and letting things grow. Speak on the importance of patience, especially in a very sensitive subject like science and like technology. Those are very sensitive things in the world, and these are things that Black people don't really take seriously in the general population like they should. So just speak on the patience and why that patience and the development is important to whatever it is you're trying to do.
Right. So I would say like we're just, especially now, we're really especially present day and in the African American community, we're really into instant gratification. We're into what can I get now? How fast can I get it? I want it immediately. Right. But that's just not always a practical model of how things work in real life. Things take time, they take patience, and they take preparation specifically. So a lot of people who are African American will come into college and say, I want to be a doctor. But they don't understand, like, it takes 10 to 15 years of school before you're really a full practicing medical doctor after all your fellowships, internships, med school. And that's if you didn't even take any time off afterwards to get ready for med school. So a lot of STEM disciplines just take a lot of time to get to your end goal. And I think a lot of people see those time barriers and it deters people. But if it's something that you truly want, then it really does take time to get you to be the person that you need to be in order to achieve that goal. And luckily, we do have these procedures in place to make sure not everybody becomes a doctor, because we don't need that many doctors, out here killing people.
Right.
And so it's just like things, if anything, it kind of goes with the saying, like anything worth having is worth fighting for and like worth waiting for. Right. But like on top of that, we typically aren't the people that we need to be in the moment in order to achieve our goals for the future. And we need to allow ourselves the time to really become that person, to do better, to get better, to mature, and to really understand what we're getting ourselves into before we just jump headfirst into things.
Yeah, that brings me back to a question someone asked me about a year ago. He asked me, if you was to give everybody $1 million, how many of them would actually pursue their goals? If you gave them $1 million to pursue their goals, how many people will actually do it? And I said, almost everybody would hop on that, because the amount of money that they will receive would remove a lot of those obstacles that they might face if they did it they did things from scratch. Do you agree with something like that?
Honestly, no. I think that money would deter a lot of people because a lot of people's end goal really is just to be rich and famous.
Right.
Once you give them that instant gratification, you're going to take away that hard work. You take away if you give them the prize without the process, they won't respect the prize, and then they won't respect the prize or the process. Once you give them what they always wanted, you lose the fight.
Right. Because that's what they're fighting. They're fighting. You're really fighting for the freedom to do what you want,
right?
While you're doing what you love.
And people love shortcuts.
Yeah, yeah, they love shortcuts. So if I was to just hand you, Michael, $1 million, and now I'm asking personally, if I was to hand you $1 million, how would you use that to help Black Scientists Matter?
Okay, definitely. First thing I'd probably do is scholarships, just for future STEM majors. I think that's very, very, very important. To provide financial resources that encourage people, especially those coming from disadvantaged backgrounds who don't have the money to pursue these opportunities. And then I also want to look into funding internship spots. So like going to a university and saying, if I allocate, this amount of money, I want to make sure that I have reserved this many spots for African-American students who want to do research at your university. And then also going through and copywriting and patenting all the stuff that I've been using, because I don't technically own it at the moment. Probably the first things I can think of. And then probably sitting down and then planning what I do for the future.
Wonderful.
To that point, bro, I don't know, because you're still in school, but one thing, just to think about as well, and this is a really big thing, you talk about giving $1 million. One of the first things I would do, or the first thing I would do, is pay off all my debt. So we talk. So what we do is, what we understand, and it's funny that you mentioned that. People, we struggle, right? We work paycheck to paycheck, but a lot of times what people really want in life is money to blow and spend on things that are supposed to give us an escape.
Right.
We don't want to use the resources that we want to really address the problems we have. We just want to put a Band-Aid on the problems we have to really try to have this pseudo, kind of heavenly type existence. But when you really think about it, what is the core things? When people are in debt, you see what I'm saying? People don't have ready access. People have jobs and corporations monopolizing on 8 to 10 hours of their most productive times of the day.
Yep.
See, when you think about it, I give 40 to 40 hours a week, 80 hours every 2 weeks to my job. Now, I like my job. I do a lot of good work, and it gives me access to things to help me matriculate and grow myself as an engineer. But I think about the time frame I'm at work and what I could be doing if I did not work there, right? So now, and then I'm thinking about, okay, after the debt, now we get into that R&D heavy. $1 million for everybody paying off their debt in OMS, and then we go on after these maker spaces, bro. Because then we can start getting into that product development. But see, that's different than I could be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make sure me and the fiance go on this dope honeymoon. I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy that. You know what I'm saying? And also, too, going back to the science of business, right, bro? And this got me so excited. Please excuse my passion, bro. I don't mean to derail the conversation, but also, how can I utilize my money to make more, and to be able, but not so much so I can have it, to be able to have a platform or a machine that generates what we call residual passive income. So now more money is coming in. It's not just one deposit and that's it.
Right.
So are we buying the duplex? Are we doing some Airbnb? Are we Ubering? Are we lifting? Are we creating a platform? Are we doing something that can give us? So now we freed ourselves, and then what can we do then? Now we got an instant. I can employ my people.
Right.
I don't have to run to the universities, to these other entities that already may not treat me the way I feel like I can be treated, but I know that I got a legitimate love for those who like you and me. You know what I'm saying? And I can treat them accordingly. I'm not worried about affirmative action. I'm not worried about what someone says about me, because I control it and I have the entity. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So that's why it's so important for those of us who have these conversations when we're on here. what is it after we talk, what is it that we really want? What are those core issues, and how can we raise the level of consciousness of what we really want as a people to go forward, particularly in STEM?
Right,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, y'all got me on it, bro. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ownership, like the concept of owning the spaces that we operate in is very, very important. You're definitely right on that end. Because we do slave our lives away to these corporations. And you think about it, you might be making 6 figures in STEM, thinking you're doing pretty good, but your CEO, man, is probably making
right.
billions. And you're just getting a small percentage of that. And you're doing the manual labor, the actual hard work, the intellectual, requirements.
Right.
Yeah. And then speaking of CEOs, man, this recent Starbucks thing with the before we continue, Michael, make sure that you're, letting your social media following know that you're live now and so forth.
Gotcha.
That we, get those viewers in and get people accustomed to OMS TV and everything. But in light of the recent Starbucks situation, it's been brought to my attention that Starbucks CEOs make $9,000 an hour.
Wow.
An hour.
An hour.
Now,
I don't even have $9,000 right now.
Right. You have people that would never $9,000 in their entire career. And in turn, not career, but $9,000. It takes, and some people who are working, it takes them at least maybe 9 to 12 months to even make $9,000.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And here we are.
My man watched this show and made $9,000.
Right. And now we have CEOs based on the type of money that they receive from the profits of people buying coffee, making $9,000 an hour. So that's the value of being an executive or being an owner or being somebody that has majority control of something.
Mm-hmm.
Able to make those big bucks because you're able to monetize as much as you can because of the type of business that it is, especially with the corporations. They get banked. So they don't got to worry about nothing. If you're an owner, you're making the real money.
Yeah, definitely.
That's real. But yeah, man, we want to get into what you're studying. You're studying pharmaceutical sciences. Tell us about that. What made you go into that area of science?
Oh yeah, so pharmaceutical science is like a pre-industry major. So Research Triangle Park, located in Raleigh-Durham, which is about 15 to 20 minutes from our campus. It was actually funded by the program itself. The design of the degree program was funded by a company that really wanted to develop more African Americans in the industry as far as pharmaceutical and biopharma tech. And so they developed this degree called Pharmaceutical Science, which really prepares students to go into not necessarily research and development, but more so along manufacturing, quality control, quality assurance, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for the biopharma industry. And I chose the major because I knew it would be the most lab intensive as far as getting me into the lab. And this is at a time when I really wanted to do cancer research. So pharmaceutical science, drugs, cancer, it just seemed like it would make sense. But as I got into it, I really kind of developed away from my original goals. So now I'm more into neuroscience, understanding how the brain works and how we kind of encode the world around us and how that manifests the reality that we see.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different areas of science that are interesting. I still appreciate and love cancer, but I just knew it wasn't my passion.
Yeah. And, there are a lot of scientists and science companies out there that are investing a lot of their time and money into how the brain works. So I'm glad you're going into that area. But what were some of the what are some of the stigmas or the common misconceptions of pharmaceutical science, and why is it important to a Black community?
Okay. So in general, pharmaceutical science as a degree does not prepare you to be a pharmacist. I think that's one huge misconception I get all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to work at Walgreens?
Right. Like, that's so small.
It's definitely more research and lab intensive than it is, sorting pills for somebody who's filling a prescription.
Right.
And then on top of that, I just get a lot of misconceptions about people, the general public, having mistrust along the lines of drug development. So a lot of people will be always the common misconception that there's a cure for AIDS and there's a cure for cancer out there, but these companies don't want to release it because, you know, there's more money in treating a disease than there is in curing it.
That's a misconception or something you agree with?
Yeah, that's definitely, I think it's a misconception. I think that people who are working in these industries work very hard to provide the best possible care and treatment for individuals. And like, you know, just curing cancer is not possible. There's no one magic drug that'll cure cancer because the nature of what cancer is, genetic disease, and everybody's cancer is different. You know, not everybody who has breast cancer has the same breast cancer. And then not everybody who has the same triple negative breast cancer has the same, you know, genes that are dysfunctional in that triple negative breast cancer. So the idea that there's one cure that you could just pop in your mouth that'll cure everybody, and the big CEOs of these companies are hiding that cure, is not true.
So I have a quick question to that point. So do you think it's mutually exclusive that those in this industry work hard to give good care, and that there is more money in treating than curing something? Because you may not agree that there's like a cure that people are withholding. However, let's say that there are facts. Like, there are people who work very hard in engineering fields, right? And try to give quality products. However, there are also people who cut a lot of corners and you get engineering ethics issues. Right. So just mathematically speaking, if I can have you on something for the rest of your life,
there's more money.
You pay for it. There's more money in that than if I give you something, you know what I'm saying, on the one time you get it. Now, whether that's present or not, that's something that you know, like somebody got to get actual facts on. But I was just curious, like, you know what I'm saying, on that point in general, the exclusivity of the two statements.
So I think it's interesting. You definitely will have these ethical concerns. You have it's been in the news recently, the guy who's the CEO for the AIDS drug.
Okay.
It was very effective, and so he decided to increase the prices by like 500%.
Yeah.
Buying without his drug. So the privatization of medical supplies and medical research that people need, definitely you can have ethical concerns. But at the same time, I think that we should be realistic about the limits of our science. So, you know, there's not one magical drug that'll cure every disease in every person. And, you know, we really do try to provide, I think the healthcare industry as a whole is trying to provide the best possible care. You know, we've already extended life expectancy to almost 80 years old. You can live with AIDS and apparently not transmit it to your partner and live a normal life expectancy. But it's like people don't trust this pharmaceutical industry for whatever reason. I think a lot of it comes from just not understanding what science is and how it operates. And then you have to also realize that science has definitely been mistrustful or
misrepresented,
I'd say hard to trust, not trustworthy.
Okay.
In that, like, you know, you had the Henrietta Lacks, you have the Tuskegee experiments.
You're right. That's real.
Like how they understand birth control and the women in Puerto Rico and African American women. So there's been a number of times where science has done people wrong, and we're still, you know, trying to work through those kinks today.
You know, I have a question as it relates to the type is the drugs in terms of how they're prepared. And you may not be able to answer, you know, because of the stage that you're in right now, but I just kind of want to get your opinion on it. My background is pharmacognosy. Now, a lot of people don't understand what that is, so I'm just kind of going to give a brief outline of what it is. Pharmacognosy, or I used my training to apply it to molecular medicine. So pharmacognosy is pretty much just using the natural compounds or chemicals that are produced in plants and use that as a form of therapy or drug. Now, I like to use the word therapy because the difference between a therapy and a drug is that a therapy works with the body and a drug works in some ways against the natural flow in order to repair whatever it is that's going on. My question to you is, do you see yourself working with any of the natural substances found in plants to develop any type of therapy or solution to some of the conditions that you may be interested in targeting?
Definitely. So trying to understand, where mental illness stems from, I think is a really good question. The biological mechanisms behind like schizophrenia or depression. It's really interesting because like your brain shapes your reality.
Yes.
But what a lot of people don't understand is that if there's something wrong with your brain, then there's something wrong with your reality. Like schizophrenia, the side effects of schizophrenia will literally paint a different picture of what the world looks like to people who suffer from that disease.
Right.
And so understanding how that works and then, finding ways to remedy it. I think me personally, I don't really like to take drugs like pharmacological drugs because I don't know, it doesn't seem natural to my body. And so I think it would be really interesting to see if there are different ways we could use natural things that exist, naturally in order to help, alleviate these illnesses that are occurring for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's going around. A lot of times when you say natural, people automatically go to natural remedies, the things that their grandmas or their moms used to use and stuff like that. So people kind of shy away from that because they think of it as another household type solution to get rid of their problems. But a lot of times people don't understand that what's in chemicals, what's the chemicals that are in plants, they're natural, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can just prepare it in your house.
Right.
So there's a mentality, and this goes back to the mind. There's a mentality of what certain words that are used when someone is trying to heal themselves. And they want to go with the so-called the quick fix, the drugs, the different things like that, the temporary relief that they would get from the drugs, not realizing that there are just as powerful compounds out there that can assist, like boron, like the chemicals needed to produce to synthesize vitamin A and allow you to see better. They're just things that people don't necessarily understand about the terminology and different things like that. How would you educate somebody or someone that doesn't understand too much about what they're dealing with?
Right. So science communication is one of the biggest issues in STEM because it's really like a gatekeeping mechanism.
Right.
Use big fancy words and jargon and terminology nobody's ever heard of. And if you don't know what they're talking about, it really keeps you out. It hinders you from accessing that knowledge and that information. So I think it starts with the people who have that information, decoding it to where it makes sense to the common person. Because, we as scientists shouldn't just do our work for other scientists. That wouldn't be very fulfilling.
Right.
So if our work is to serve a greater purpose in a greater, broader community, we need to make sure that how we communicate that is geared towards these people. So like, as you were saying, the words we use need to be words that common people understand, especially because it's like if you were to prescribe a medicine and then put a bunch of fancy words in the instructions on how to take it, the person who's reading it has no idea what that means.
Right.
So it's like you really just negated the usefulness of this medicine because you made it inaccessible to the person who needed it.
Right.
So science communication I think it all starts with the people who generate this knowledge, making sure that knowledge is accessible to everyone.
So, bro, y'all just brought up so many points. All right, so I'm gonna try to take my time. Right.
Man, we on YouTube. We don't know limit. We got too many limits on Blog Talk, man. We on YouTube now. Take your time.
So one thing that you brought up, talking about knowing your audience. So the engineer in particular, when we talk about what makes a good one, we are supposed to take the complex and bring it down to be parsed in a very, simplistic manner, so that maybe like a fifth grader be able to understand. But a lot of times we think we're more intelligent or more smart the more jargon, the more quote unquote big words or whatever that we can use. Just making it even more simple. So Brother Tariq and I in the Nation of Islam, and one of the things that the nation gets accused of is like, oh, y'all don't know or speak Arabic. So I was like, how many people or black people in particular speak Arabic? He said, oh, I don't know. So my thing is, why not? First off, we do. That's a lie. But second of all, why will you bring a message to someone who would otherwise not understand how you're coming from. So like, or what you're coming from. So like, it's really stupid. So if I'm trying to articulate something to you, I'm gonna come or in the book, in the TV shows, in the arena that you feel most fit. There, not only do you understand, you're more likely to listen to what I have to say.
Right.
So now how we go back to the sciences, right? If I'm talking to you trying to break down quantum physics, I'm going to try to bring it down to as close as I can. I'm not going to use all these overarching like crazy terms. So we have to be able to know who we're talking to, and also just knowing, you know, our audience too. And then also going back to the natural versus you know, synthetic, if you will. A lot of people, we have a brand name, you know, high tech, low tech type thought process when it comes to things. You know, people feel like because something has a flashy brand on it, right? It's in the bottle, pill form, whatever. It's just automatically better for you as opposed to the things or these quote unquote home remedies. Or that ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna do X, Y, and Z. You know, but then with the mind, right? You can, the same way you can make yourself sick, you can make yourself healthy with how you think. So if you think something's not going to work, it might not.
Yeah,
right.
That's why the sugar pill for y'all, and y'all know about this with those who study medicine, is so crazy, because you can give somebody something like a peppermint for all intents and purposes, and they feel like they done got cured. So a lot of that, how you bring stuff, that language is very key, and then the brain and the mind as well. So just kind of bringing it home, it's kind of been wrapped up in the theme. So if you had to kind of break it down, what would you say is the difference, if there's a difference, between someone who is knowledgeable and someone who's smart? Are they the same, or are they different?
I think smart pertains to one area of what you really, really know. So, you know, somebody who gets a degree in pharmaceutical science, graduates with a 4.0, can say, I really do know the pharmaceutical science industry. You know, I've been working here for 30 years and I know this right here. But when you say knowledge and like wisdom, it really applies to multiple platforms and genres and subjects. So knowledge to me really speaks to a breadth of information. Like I can look at this, this, and this and say, I know all of it, or at least a lot of it. Whereas smart really limits you to your specific field of study.
That's interesting. It's funny. Like when I think about it slightly in reverse. That's an interesting way. Okay. All right, Tariq.
Yeah, I'm taking it all in. Like I was saying, like I used to say on the blog talk, sometimes the conversations can turn into me being an audience listener instead of a host. But I just love this. I love seeing three black men, young black men, not just black men. And correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, you're under 25, right?
Correct.
And Jabril, you're 24.
Yes, sir.
So we're all under 25, coming together as science students or science students and professionals, talking about the importance of science on a big arena like YouTube. It can't get any better than that, you know. So right. I want to thank, before we continue, I want to thank you, Michael, for taking the time out again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So now I want to take it a little bit, make it a little bit more personal. As I said before, I want to talk about your family and how they've influenced you, or just your support team, the people that have backed you or are backing you. Let's talk about them. How have your parents received you well in terms of what you're doing with Black Scientists Matter and your education?
No, definitely. As far as education goes, my dad played a huge role. I remember he took me on a college tour when I was still in high school, and was explaining to me the different opportunities for scholarships, and then resources in STEM. And that was the first time I really thought about, you know, going to a STEM discipline, because the money really does talk. And I knew the scholarships were definitely available in STEM. And so I was like, wow, I never even thought this would end up being what I like. But I was never bad at science. So I really started to look into it once I really got that opportunity from my father. And then after I came back from that first research experience that I told you guys wasn't that positive, I had a conversation with my dad, and he was just telling me, like, you know, you can't expect that things are going to be easy, but the difficulty of something shouldn't correlate with how much you want it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just because something becomes difficult for you, all of a sudden you don't want it anymore. That means you never wanted it in the first place, or you only wanted it because it was easy.
Right.
But like at every stage of your education, the different doors that you open up as you continue to move up. And, you know, not very many people in America have a PhD, let alone Black people. And once you get that, there's no higher education you can get. And then with Black Scientists Matter, my mom, I say it's all on me, like running it, but she plays a huge role. Like when I'm slipping, she definitely helps me send out shirts and stay on top of things. So she's been encouraging.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, then you know that is we're taught, you know, that the women in our lives are helpmeets. Not to say that that's what they're supposed to do, but that's their nature, is to help us. Whether they're your mom, your wife, your fiance, whatever it is that you're doing of value, and they see that you have a vision, they like taking the time out to help you doing what you're doing.
Tariq, spell help meet for us, just so we clear it up.
HELPMEET.
So it's not MEAT. Just want to make sense. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
That's the meat that you
right. We talking about to help meet and overcome. That's what we talking about.
Exactly.
Don't want to make it. Oh, they women is help meet. You know what I'm saying?
Making it sound chauvinistic or something.
Right.
But definitely, man. You know, and you talked about the obstacles. You know, so when you have something of value, there's always going to be something there. There's going to be a difficulty factor. You know, if it's easy, it's not really not worth anything. If it's easy, you know, because
it's easy, anybody will have it.
Right. That's right. You know, it's not yours. You know, so if something is you see a vision, God gave you that vision for a reason. You know, so I commend you and what you're doing with Black Scientists Matter, because your purpose is the same as ours with OMS. You know, so I hope we do work together in the future. You know, one of the things we like to ask our guests. And this is not the conclusion of the show. I'm just anxious to ask you this because we usually ask this at the end of the show. But what if someone came up to you, particularly a child, like say if they were 8 or 9, came up to you and said, "Michael, what does science mean to you, and why is it important to you as a person?"
Why is science important to me?
Yeah, what does it mean,
sir? And what is it?
Okay, well, to me, science is really about understanding knowledge and the limits of what we currently know and how we can reach beyond that to understand more about ourselves, about the universe around us, how we understand the universe around us, and really using that information to improve the human experience. So in a lot of different fields, you know, you're really given information and taught this is what this is and this is what it means. But in science, you're really given the tools to figure out for yourself, you know, is that really what that means? Or how do we understand things that we never thought about before? How do we ask questions that nobody has answers to? And then once we get this information, what does it mean on a broader scale? And how can we then use this to help people with the end goal to always give back to, you know, the human experience. And I think that's something powerful that we could definitely share with many people. And then, you know, just the ability to like look in a microscope and see something tiny that you'd never be able to see with your normal eye.
Yeah.
Like how cool is that? How cool is that we have the tools to do that?
Yeah.
Understand.
That's a beautiful outlook on science. You know, and we asked our guests that at the end of the show because we want to use that to cap it off. You've been able to kind of go. You actually answered the question throughout the entire show on what science means to you, just based on your viewpoint and just, you know, what you've experienced so far in your education. What are your mentors like? How have you received any support outside of your family?
A little bit. I think it's remiss to say I've done it all on my own. But I've never really had the mentor that I've wanted, as far as another Black man who really looks like me, who's gone through what I've gone through to get where I want to go. And so that's something I'm still searching for. But I think one of the best mentors I had was the PI I worked with this past summer at Harvard. He was a pretty young guy, and he was just very down to earth. very humble, and the way he communicated his science, I thought was very admirable. So at every turn, he was trying to figure out, how can we make this like understandable in a real world context. And I think that's a very important lens to constantly keep like in the back of your mind as things get really technical and specific and confusing. Like, what does this really mean to the greater picture and the greater question that we're trying to ask? But yeah, I'm definitely still in search of a mentor. So if you know anybody, let me know.
Oh yeah, we got some.
I got some hitters.
Yeah, we got some heavy for you, man, no doubt. Yeah, man.
So, in terms of couple questions. So in terms of mentorship, so right now you're looking more so for the person that's in the neural aspect of things, right? Not so much the cancer aspect of things.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Just only because I did this for another brother we had on the show who's actually going to be like a soon to be like in-law of mine. Yeah. But one of my best friends, his name is Rolando Lyles. He's a PhD student at U Miami in cancer research. So he's a real down to earth. Like it doesn't get more down to earth than him. Like just talking to him, everything. His story is so profound. We had him on the STEM Files when we were on Blog Talk Radio. But so I was gonna suggest him, but he's just good in general. So I'll probably still send you his information. But I'll definitely keep my eyes and ears open, kind of looking through my network for those in that neuro field. Because the thing about mentorship, not only being a mentor, but also seeking a mentor is because not only do we not have all the answers, but sometimes we just need to I don't want to say vent, but get off our chest what we're going through. That's in an informal setting for people that can not just listen to us, but then give us right guidance on what to do next. You know what I'm saying? And particularly as young Black men in a world that has done its best to portray us in an inordinate way and in an inaccurate way, if you will, and make us less than what we really are. You really need that backing so that you can kind of get through those times. And also going forward, you got to let us know, bro. Like, where do we follow you? How do we get those shirts, bro? Like, what's the promo looking like? What do we do, bro? Tell the people. Right, tell the people.
My personal Twitter, Mr. Hopkins. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my Instagram. Okay. So my Twitter is Mr. _Hopkins 8. All right. My Instagram is Mr. Hopkins _. And then also I'm just starting YouTube, really, really trying to take that to the next level when I have more time to dedicate to it. So that's just Mr. Hopkins. As far as Black Scientists Matter, I'm active on Instagram and Facebook at Black Scientists Matter. And then the website, kept it simple, blackscientistsmatter.com. So follow any of those, hit that link, and you'll be able to find all the merchandise available. And I also want to add on to that point. If anybody does happen to buy any merchandise and you tag the page, I would love to feature you on the website or on the Instagram to really give a face to the movement. Because right now, my goal is to really show people what a Black scientist looks like. And I can't do that by just broadcasting myself.
Right.
I'm really trying to put a face to this movement so people can see, wow, he's a Black scientist and he looks just like me. And so then eventually this movement will spread, and anybody that buys my shirt, I like to think of as a brand ambassador for Black Scientists Matter. And so now whenever you are wearing this shirt and somebody asks you, what does it mean? You can tell them, well, the idea is to appreciate and highlight underrepresented scientists in the African-American, field. And then, grassroots movements, word of mouth is really how it's been spreading, and it's going up. So
that's what's up, man. Congratulations, bro. And we will definitely be doing so, because I know I'm always looking. I have this thing where it's like I find a Black business, I'll be like, right, like you can take all my money, because we have such a wanton criticism of everything Black. Like if it's an establishment, we don't want to go further than 5 miles to get to it. If we happen to open late, here we go complain. That's why I don't come here. But we'll stand in Walmart in the customer service line, just mutton under our breath, not say nothing allows anybody can hear it, and then go there day after day after day, like we get good service there. So whenever we want to be found making our word bond and pushing what you're doing with Black Scientists Matters, as Black Scientists do matter, and it's right in line with our mission on OMS, and just brother to brother, man, it's awesome. So I'll definitely be in touch on how I can get myself some, and then share it from there. Maybe do a little photo op so you can get on there, you know what I'm saying? A little something like this, you know what I'm saying?
Do what you do.
All that, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff, all that. So that's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I've been on his website for the apparel, man, and I definitely am impressed by just how you've been able to use science and make it look appealing on clothing, so that young people are wearing it and buying it. And I see the Instagram photos, and I see the love that you're getting on your social media and everything like that. So, man, I just want to say I'm proud of you. You know, even though I haven't known you that long, you know, I'm very proud of you and what you been able to do. How old are you?
Yes, sir.
So I'm 21 right now. My birthday's in June. I'll be 22.
Okay.
You see, that's another beautiful thing too. When I initially found the Black Scientists Matter page, I thought it was somebody that was already established in their career. I didn't think it was actually a college student doing this. So then when I looked deeper into it, I was like, whoa, this person's an actual, he's still in school just like everybody he's highlighting, you know?
Right.
It's beautiful to see your peers appreciating you and acknowledging you, and you putting you out there for people to see, you know, because if a lot of times, you know, as young people, we don't get that support from the older generation.
Right, definitely. I appreciate that, though.
You know,
absolutely. I figured if I can do anything to give back and to, you know, be that support for other people, then, you know, what do I have to do and where do I have to sign up?
Yeah.
What's up?
We definitely gonna work with you, man. Because I don't know if you took the have been to our website yet. For those listening, it's www.omansci.com. Once it's O man and then the first three letters of science, OMANSCI.com. We're really a research and development company. We're budding. We're not brand new, but you know we're past the conception phase. You know, we're doing the same thing you're doing, just more along the lines of physically doing it in the communities.
Right.
We want to put you out there as much as possible, and I pray that you do the same for us. You know, and just going off the business aspect. How important is it for us that are doing the same line of work to support each other?
Right, definitely. It's priceless in that, you know, a lot of times we see people doing the same things we want to do, and that breeds competition. But because there's such a need for what we're trying to do, I think the more we can work together to pursue a common goal, the easier it is on everybody.
Right.
And then just like, you know, once one person breaks down that barrier, like the next thing you should do is put everybody else on, like bring everybody else with you. Because there's plenty of room at the top. And the idea that there isn't is just a common misconception due to whatever powers that be.
Right. Hey, well, real quick, if you can, there's a viewer that wants you to repeat how someone can purchase the Black Scientists Matter shirts.
Gotcha. So Instagram, Facebook at Black Scientists Matter. You can follow the page. Definitely like, subscribe, all that. And then if you just go to www.blackscientistsmatter.com. You can also Google search Black Scientists Matter. It'll pop up. It's all there.
Okay, cool. Do we have your permission to feature your business and your website on our website?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Great. Well,
let the promo begin.
Yeah, we're about to be lit with this science, this Black science, man. This is something that the Black scientists, the inventors that we study, the Black inventors that we study, and the Black scientists that we study, like Charles Drew, Mae Jemison, and Hanukkah. This is the kind of thing that they wanted to see amongst Black people.
Right.
Speaking
of, actually,
you know,
during the month of February, I kind of got away from it, I'm not gonna lie. But on my Instagram page, I was doing featured Black scientists of the month. The Black History Month in February. Yeah. I only ended up doing about 10, but I learned so much that I didn't even realize I didn't know. Like how many different scientists have done amazing things for the entire world, not just the African American community.
Right.
And whenever you think, you know, people, if you ask the broader community, name 3 Black scientists, you know, you're probably gonna get Neil deGrasse Tyson, George Washington Carver, and then, you know, people kind of get a little shaky.
Yeah.
But it's just, you'd be surprised when you really start looking and really start digging. Like some of the fundamental discoveries made in STEM were made by people who look just like us, who never really deserved the credit or received the credit they deserve.
And it was crazy to that point. If we had invented a patent system,
Mm-hmm.
it would be over. Because if you think about it, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a lot of the necessary or requisite technologies that make society go, we invented, bro. Like stoplights. No, come on, man. Come on, man. Like,
the blood bank.
Right. Come on, man. Radiators. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff people take for granted. Okay.
And those are just the ones we got credit for.
Right.
There's a whole
bunch of all the ones they stole.
Right.
Where those at?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what's crazy, but
yeah, man. And that's why it's so important to do your research and to look into things further. Check the dates. Just go back as far as you can to help to see if you can invalidate some of the things that they tell you when they were invented or who invented them or something like that. Like with the carbon filament with Lewis Latimer and what he did for Thomas Edison. You know, people talk about Thomas Edison. They don't talk about Lewis Latimer. They don't talk about what he did for Thomas.
Right.
So it's just things like that. Things like that we got to really dig down deep into, because if they used our backs to build this country, what other things did they use to build? We don't know we don't know what black person Steve Jobs is hiding.
Right. It's honestly no, that's fact. But it's white supremacy. And the idea that like inherent whiteness is the white people are the smartest, they own everything and they invented everything. It's like erasure of everybody else's history to reinforce how prominent and how intelligent and how wonderful white people are. And what's crazy is that when you really know the truth, it's a lie. They're really just making this stuff up. And it just kind of goes back to tearing down other people to make certain groups look good.
Yeah.
And I think, when you really look at it at a time like ancient African civilizations were doing things like scientific feats that people can't even still to this day
don't even understand.
That made no sense. And then we get into present day 2018 and all of a sudden it's like black people can't do science.
Right.
I don't think that's true. I just don't.
No.
It's not. It can't be true. It's definitely not. We got black people all over the world that prove it on a daily basis that it's not true.
Right. But that's why access again. Access. Mm-hmm. If like I can want to know, but if something is kept from me, if I just don't know, then how can I exact the power from that? Like so many people, like Obama, say what we want. I'm not saying I'm a crazy Obama fan, but what that did, you have children who associate the highest office in the land with a black individual, black man at that. So what does that do to the psyche? Now it's like, okay, damn, I can be president. Now, not to say that we should want to or should not, but there's no concept of there was no black presidents before then. It's like I grew up with one for 8 years.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like how does that take a limiter off? How did that whole nigga ain't never gonna be nothing? Oh, wait, whoa, that black man right there. You know what I'm saying? So we talk about, and then the symbolism of black man in the White House. You know what I'm saying? That's big.
Right.
So you didn't talk about Donald Trump and everything, and you had to get something so different because the 8 years of that man in there, had people fuming. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean for us? Anything that we do of good is going to have returns. But what happens is, I was talking to somebody about this, people are doing stuff and people are seeing success, and your initiative or entity or brainchild may not be at that point. So you want to hop on the train, you know what I'm saying, of what they're doing, or and kind of leave what you're doing in the dust. No, everybody was at a certain stage at a certain point, but we need to stick to our guns, to the things that are good and we can do, and not get discouraged just because we're not where we need to be or we want to be at any present time. Keep pushing. These are things that are needed. These are things that are going to assist in the future, because I don't want my children saying, "Daddy, what did you do for me?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's gonna be us. You know what I'm saying? We getting older, we be 30, 40. Then it's like, oh shit, what have I left behind?
Right.
And how many generations are gonna start from ground zero?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. Go ahead.
But speaking off that point that you made previously, about what it means to have people in positions, I think it really goes back to like a lot of people think that like we have to change the whole world, but in reality, you can really only change yourself. And so like a lot of the impact that you can have on people is really just to be you and to be the best you can be. So I know like when I announced that I was going to Johns Hopkins for graduate school in the fall, a lot of people were like, wow, you really inspire me.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything at all except be the best person that I could be. And then when people see your light shining, it inherently gives them the right to try to shine their light as well.
Right.
It's just contagious. Like to see other people do well motivates you to also do well. And just the best thing you can ever do for the world around you is to be the best authentic you.
Authentic you.
Find that passion, that purpose,
Right.
That's real. Well, man, we once again, man, I want to thank you for taking the time out. Now, I know it's the third time I'm saying this, but I really do. I want to thank you for taking the time out on a Tuesday night to talk with us about the importance of being a Black scientist. We want our guests to have the last word before we go ahead and do our little plug that we do at the end of the show.
That's right.
But what are some of the takeaway messages that you want to have our viewers internalize after they finish?
So first off, I want to definitely shout out one of my friends who's watching right now. His name is Adrian Davey.
Hey.
He's a future chemical engineer, smarter than I'll ever be, and he's doing great things as well.
That's what's up.
And but for takeaways from the show, I definitely want to say like, just figure out what your passion is and your purpose in life, and hone in on that. And then when those distractions come and those negatives and the naysayers who really try to distract you from your greater purpose in life, stick to what's positive, stick to what you know, and trust in God. And if things are meant to be, they'll really happen to you. They'll really be for you. And just continue to work hard and to be the most authentic and the best you that you can be. And you'll slowly find that the world around you changes, the people around you changes, and you yourself change as well. And as long as you keep working hard and your intentions are genuine, you'll be successful no matter what you do. And Black scientists matter.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, you done pretty much summed it up that self-improvement is the key to community development and anything.
That's right.
There it goes.
This world. So once again, man, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Can you go ahead and do your social media again real quick so people that can follow you again?
Right. Okay. So we have on Twitter, Mr_Hopkins8, Instagram, Mr.Hopkins_, and then Black Scientists Matter on Instagram and Facebook, as well as BlackScientistsMatter.com.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this has been another edition of the STEM Files on OMS TV. Not Blog Talk Radio. Because last episode I kept saying Blog Talk Radio, but we are no longer we are no longer bounded by the limits of Blog Talk Radio. We are now on YouTube, which is one of the most popular and most it's just where everyone is. Everyone's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. No one's on Blog Talk Radio like that. I ain't trying to diss them or not. I'm just saying.
We was on it for a year, kicking it.
Yeah. We got a good following on there. And if anyone wants to listen to the episodes that we did on there, just go to www.blogtalkradio.com/OMS Files. Once again, that's blogtalkradio.com/OMS Files. Jabril, you want to take it home?
What'd you say? I'm sorry. You say it again.
You want to take it home?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. All right. Well. This, yeah, like he said, another installment of the STEM Files brought to you by OMS TV. We are your hosts, Jabrilia Engineer and Magna Cardiac. Had a wonderful time with y'all. Again, power smash, power smash, power smash that like button, like, share, and everything. Show your colleagues, your friends, your mama, your dog, your goldfish, everybody that we out here. Black Sciences Matter, kicking it. OMS, Original Man Scientific. I had a wonderful time, learned so much. As y'all know, for those who heard me on the blog talk show, I get real passionate, I get real loud. You know, I love this. You know what I'm saying? I think we need more of this, you know, sharing with one another and really doing what's best for OMS Media. Like I said, www.omansci.com, Facebook at omansci, Instagram at OM Scientific, Twitter at OM Scientific. So it's been a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Keep riding with us, rocking with us, and we hope to see y'all again soon.
Real quick, OMS TV on Instagram, OMS_TV on Instagram. We don't have the Twitter yet or the Facebook. Right now, we just focus on Instagram so we can get that face out there. You know, so OMS_TV on Instagram. Be sure to follow that. Hit the like button at the bottom. Be sure to subscribe to OMS TV. And that's pretty much it.
Hey, it's been great, y'all.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Peace, family.
Deuces.